in here. But, we'll get to it.
Then why didn't you fucking say it?
No, because I couldn't think of what it was.
You're
It's like I had an idea, and then it was fleeting. It's like a dream. You know, sometimes you have a dream, and then you wake up, you can't remember what it was. And be like, you know what was crazy? Because that was a really crazy dream. I just can't remember what it was.
Oh, that's probably what it was. So there's this thing floating around that every time you walk into a room and you can't remember like why you walked in there, there's like a 1% chance that there was an alien in there and you startled him and he wiped your memory to make sure that you would never know there were aliens.
Oh yeah, makes a lot of sense. And, because aliens just hang out in my kitchen, and then
I mean, you never know what you're doing, bro. You never know.
Basically, there's an alien living in the attic because I forget shit all the time. So.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
There's an alien hiding at the bottom of my bowl because I forget shit all the time.
So we are live right now. We're going to kick it to the video here. We got a lot of stuff to go through today. Hopefully we get to it all. If you are tuning in, let's just kick to the video because you guys like that, whether,
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Drives one out to deep left field. This one's got a chance to get out of here. Gone! 3-run Jimmy Jack first. Big league home run for Mike Trout.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
And an 81-point game. 55 in the second half. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
What's going on, everybody? It's Wayne G here with Infinity Sports, joined as always by Sully.
Yo, what's going down? What's going down?
Obviously, we got a big show tonight. We did the Charlie Ward interview on Saturday, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was really fun to have somebody who I know we both grew up kind of idolizing on the show. So next up, I think Bo Jackson next. What do you think?
Jeez, that'd be pretty massive. I'd love to see that. Get Bo Jackson, a little Griffey in there, then wind it with Trout. Have a solid week.
All right, yeah. That sounds like a plan for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you are tuning in, you're watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter. We are live right now. If you miss any part of the video, you want to check out the audio, we are available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music. Also, YouTube, you can go on there the next day. You can see the video. I highly encourage you to do that because we have so many great video clips that we show during the show that you guys are missing out if you don't see it. And then, obviously, if you want to hit us up, you can hit us up on Facebook at Infinity Sports Podcast, at Infinity Sports Podcast on Instagram, and at Sports Infinity 5 on Twitter. Visit the website, www.infinitysportspodcast.com. Takes you to all the different sites, including all the places that you can find the podcast. And we got a great store there. We just freshened up some of the stuff. Obviously, we have our new logo. You see LeBron James rocking the tank top with the new logo. That's available in the store. Also, the Tom Brady, when he signed his contract with the Bucks, it has failure is a choice with the weights and the Infinity logo. So hopefully you guys like that. I mean, dress like Tom, dress like LeBron. You can't go wrong is the way I look at it.
You ain't lying, man. I'm pretty sure he's got the Jordan Breads on, too, if I'm not mistaken. I can't tell there.
I don't know. But I think it's kind of cool. LeBron and Tom Brady, thanks so much for rocking the gear. It definitely helps us out. Support the show. And other than that, it's a big show today. We've got our NFL recap, which always takes up a chunk of time. Sully's got top 5 prospects that he's going to go over with you. Some exciting ones here that you guys haven't heard yet. You've heard 15, I think, so far. So this is the next 10 so far. Okay, so this is the next 5. No particular order, but we just like throwing out these guys, and you can kind of see some highlights of them while we talk about them. We also have greater than, maybe if we have some time, we'll get to it. I got a couple of them I'm thinking of. So we'll get to that. But first things first, obviously it is time for the news. As always, the news is brought to you by Invader Coffee. It's 100% organic, 100% air roasted. You have a 100% money back guarantee. If you buy it, you don't like it, you send it back, you get your money back. It is a veteran-owned business. They know what they're doing. You're not going to be dissatisfied. Enter the code BELLYUP, all capitals, 15% off your entire order, no matter how much you spend. Even if all you get is a T-shirt, really cool T-shirts and clothing on the website because it's all military stuff. So they got Grim Reaper and machine guns and flags. And it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, go up on there. Like I said, I got my order. The coffee's great. It's fantastic. Make sure you get it.
The first bit of news that we are tackling is 2 large extensions in the National Basketball Association. Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell both signed the Supermax deal that they can out of their rookie deals, $165 million, but both of them have the opportunity to go up to $200 million with certain things like making All-NBA first team and whatnot. Jason Tatum was All-NBA third team this season, so definitely huge contracts for them. I saw the video of Donovan Mitchell celebrating by jumping into his pool. Like, you're already a millionaire. He's like, another 165.
I mean, 165 is a lot. That's what it is. That's security for you, your family, their families. I mean, if you play it right, that's security for a lot of generations to come. So that feels really good and good for these young men. They both played out of their minds. They're both fantastic players. So, yeah, who didn't get one of those extensions? Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, but I mean, you kind of figured that wasn't going to happen. I mean, he's been hurt a lot when he does play.
No, I know, but I mean, like with the draft and Tatum going after Lonzo and things like that. So
it's just a bad break. If I had to do it all over again, I still probably would take Lonzo at 2, only because of what he brings to the table. Again, hoping that he stays healthy because he's a walking triple-double. He's a really good point guard. Horrible shot, but that's something you can improve. But it's just he just had some bad breaks. I like what he's doing in New Orleans. I like the lineup he's got down there.
Yeah, I do too. We'll see. And he shot 36% from 3 this year, so that's not bad in any stretch of the imagination. So, we'll see. But I still don't think you take him over Tatum ever, once, never.
Well, he was just unmasked on The Masked Singer, so he was the rapper guy, whatever it is, whatchamacallit. So let me ask you this. How about between Tatum and Mitchell, who you taking?
I think Tatum.
Yeah. I mean, I like Mitchell. I think Mitchell doesn't get enough, not press, but just not enough screen time. People don't see him play, but he plays really hard. He's a very fiery competitor. Obviously, averaged 36 points per game for Denver, so he's a guy I really like.
No, I love him as well. You mean Utah, but yeah, I love him as well. And he's fantastic. It's just, I don't know. I think I just like Tatum's overall game more. I don't know. I think Spider's a better scorer.
Yeah, he is. The Lakers making some news, continuing their free agent sweep, picking up these guys that fit well with LeBron. I mean, you lose Dwight Howard, but he was a role player that did his job. How about a role player like Marc Gasol, who might be the best passing big man of all time if you really look at the way he passes the ball? And he gets you rebounds. He's going to score. He only played like 23, 24 minutes a game last year, but I mean, I think that's a huge signing, replacing Dwight Howard with Marc Gasol.
Yeah, I mean, you only need to get 20 minutes out of him. They get Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell, who else? Wesley Matthews they just signed.
Dennis Schroeder they traded for.
Well, yeah, Dennis Schroeder they traded for. But, let's not forget Wesley Matthews 3-4 years ago was getting max contracts. So the guy can still shoot the ball. He spreads the floor really well. They lost, like we talked about, losing Deshaun Rondo, replacing him with a better player of himself in Dennis Schroeder. They lose Dwight Howard, and they get a better player to replace him in Marc Gasol. They're and slash Montrezl Harrell, who's the 6th man of the year. So, I mean, the Lakers are scary good.
Well, Montrezl Harrell, I mean, averaged 19 points per game in 23 minutes a game. Like, he was just killing you. That's 38 points per 48 minutes. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they'll find a way to get him on the floor with AD, and I mean, just play him at power forward there, or both can interchange positions there. Man, Montrezl Harrell will be scary. That lineup will be scary. Obviously, they got to get AD back, though. He did opt out, but all signs point that he's coming back.
Yeah, they said he wants to wait and see what the roster is, but I think that's all BS. He's coming back to try to repeat.
Yeah, of course, you have to. I mean, it wouldn't make sense not to.
The Golden State Warriors get Kelly Oubre in a trade. This is a guy, again, averaged 18.5, 19 points per game last year. Great addition for them, particularly with Klay Thompson going down for the whole year. You've got Andrew Wiggins, which is great. You've got Oubre now, I think, is a great step-in player. He's not Klay Thompson, but he's a nice guy that can step in and score 18 points a game. I did see an interesting meme. I wanted to get your take on this because I know that both of us are kind of on LeBron. But I think it's a great point. They said if you took Curry and LeBron, you swapped them, put LeBron on the Warriors right now with that roster and took Curry off, LeBron's going to make them a championship team or championship contender. They said, so now it's kind of up to Curry. Like, you should be able to do the same thing if you want to be mentioned in the same breath as LeBron.
Well, yeah, I don't think Steph Curry was ever mentioned in the same breath as LeBron.
Back-to-back MVP, unanimous MVP.
I mean, still, I don't know if anybody held him as like the team carrier or anything like that like LeBron is, or the walking fucking maniac LeBron is and Jordan are and Kobe were. I still think, I mean, at least in my case, I held Steph in a different light. I mean, he's arguably the greatest shooter of all time and a great player. He, outside of Magic, he may be the next best point guard. But I still don't think I'd put him up there. Obviously not. I mean, you put LeBron on Golden State, and I mean, they are the West favorites, and they probably win the West and win the championship. So, I mean, let's be real. Kelly Oubre is a great signing or a great trade. I mentioned it briefly when I went off camera the other week, or the other day. But yeah, Kelly Oubre is great. It should be a great, like you said, step-in player. He's not Klay Thompson, but he can step in and give you better than the average guy off the bench.
Getting away from the NBA, I went to the NCAA football because I actually was watching some NCAA football this weekend, which I almost never do, mainly because we had the recorded interview. So while Charlie was talking, I got to go watch some TV. But, some of the things that stood out to me, and I want to run it by you. First off, let's talk about Florida because that's your team, right? And Trask coming out 26 of 35, 383, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. I mean, you're talking about this guy climbing the draft board. And we talked about it last week, too. We said, how high could he potentially go? He's kind of worked his way in the bottom of the first round. Could he work his way into the top 10?
I don't see it, but, I mean, like, if he comes out and beats Alabama and looks like a stud, and then they make it to the championship, and then he beats – God, who would be one then? I guess Ohio State. And he beats Ohio State and, like, puts it on his back and does it, and then beats Clemson and puts it on his back and does it. And then joins, I mean, that'd be riding the sickest 3-game win streak like ever. So then, yeah, I guess in that miracle case, he could do it. But I just don't think he has the tools to make it that high. I would take him anywhere between like 18 and beyond or behind that, which isn't a knock on him. I mean, it's really not. I think he's a great player. I think he has the chance to be a really good, successful quarterback in the NFL. It's just, there are a lot of talented guys in this draft, and especially a quarterback.
Well, I saw Mel Gibson had him ahead of Zach Wilson. So what do you think about that?
Mel Gibson?
Yeah, Mel Gibson and Mel Kiper. Mel Gibson did too.
I guess you could. I think Zach Wilson is a better player. I understand the knock. Zach Wilson's not really playing anybody. But, I mean, he's still doing what he's supposed to be doing when beating them. He doesn't have bad games. He doesn't make bad decisions. So it's tough to knock him. And plus, he's got a better arm at this point, more mobile. And that's just the way the league is trending. Again, I love Kyle Trask. I'm not knocking him. Right now, I don't have him in my top 15.
So I watched the Ohio State game, and obviously Justin Fields did not have a great game. I think 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions or something like that. The guy that really impressed me was that Penix from Indiana had 400 and some odd yards passing. Every pass he threw was right on the money, just such a good touch. But then I looked at his stats for the season, and this is definitely his best game because the rest of the season he's only been
Yeah, he showed out and essentially kept Indiana in it. I mean, he's played well in spots, but this was definitely his, come out big game. Justin Fields didn't look the part. Indiana had a good scheme against him. And I didn't love Ohio State as a whole, but they got the job done. They beat a top 10 team, so, I mean, it's tough to argue with him there. Justin Fields, again, his stock is pretty set in stone. I don't expect him to go outside of the top 3 in any way, shape, or form. So,
all right. The last note had Alabama 63-3 against Kentucky. Obviously, not really much of a surprise there, but that's definitely a beatdown. I don't see Alabama losing to anybody. So the question is, I guess, how would you feel? Because I know you've already mentioned this a little bit in the show, but I wanted to get your take again. If Ohio State gets the 2 seed in the playoff and Clemson gets a 3 or a 4 or even lower, maybe misses the playoff because they lost 1 game and Ohio State only played 7, is it kind of...
Yeah, I don't agree with it at all, obviously, especially if they don't, play some of these canceled games and things like that. But, we'll see. You have to have a minimum of 7, so we'll see. I don't know. It'll be touchy. Alabama looks really good. They're the first unanimous number 1 team since 2018. So, that's important. This team's impressive. Mac Jones, they win on offense now. Mac Jones can sling that tater. He's another guy who may creep into the back end of the first round. And then their wide receivers are special. I mean, special good. Jalen Waddle, I'll talk about Devontae Smith later on in the show. They're just really, really good. And they get open, and they're really hard to stop. So it's going to be fun. Them versus Florida is going to be a really fun game.
Well, the guy that we haven't brought up in top prospects and who I think doesn't get a whole lot of talk because of how good Travis Etienne is, I mean, he's on a whole nother level. But Harris, the running back for Alabama, is a really solid running back too.
No, Najee Harris is fantastic. He'll end up being ranked in this top 32. Excuse me. He'll end up being ranked in this top 32, which is surprising for me to have two running backs in my top 32. But he's another player who's a complete back, and I agree. If it wasn't for Travis Etienne, Najee Harris is the number one back on 90% of boards. He's a very good player. He'll get the job done.
Right. Well, that will take us into Sully's top prospects. So, of course, we go over 5 every week. The 5 we have in order here, just make sure we have the same order. We're talking Moore, Cosme, Smith, Pay, and Russo, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's kick things off, I guess, with Rondale Moore. This is a guy who I didn't really know a whole lot about, and I'm curious to get your take because he is a little bit of a smaller wide receiver.
He is. He's a smaller guy, but I mean, he's just so explosive and so powerful. He came in as a really kind of like highly touted freshman to Purdue. He's got a video of him squatting like 5 or like 495 or something like that. And he's just really powerful, really explosive, really quick. Like, I mean, he takes hits and runs through guys as a smaller receiver. And excuse me, God, I cannot get this kick out. Obviously the knock is he's 5'9", he's 180. He's going to play a lot out of the slot. But he is so scary quick in space and elusive in space. And I mean, as a wide receiver, he grades out really well. I like him quite a bit, honestly. I wanted to put him higher, and I initially had him higher. But, he wasn't going to play this season. He's now playing this season, which is good. First game, boom, already scored. He's going to be a guy that people are going to use him in a ton of ways. They're going to motion him. They're going to put him in the backfield. They're going to do a ton of things with him. Man, he's just electricity, bro. Electricity.
So almost kind of like a smaller version, more compact version of Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, for sure. Except, I mean, 1,000 times more quick, 1,000 times more explosive. I mean, I've already used this comp for Jalen Waddle just because of his speed, but I mean, think Tyreek Hill, think somebody like that. Like, I mean, like dangerous, scary speed, like game-changing speed, game-changing quickness. He's good.
All right. And this is our first offensive lineman that we've had a chance to talk about, which is Samuel Cosme from Texas, right? He's the offensive tackle from Texas.
I mean, we briefly spoke about Penei Sewell. We didn't have a clip then, unfortunately, but let's not leave Penei Sewell out of this. He's a god. He's the reason the offensive line position is in existence at this point. But yeah, Samuel Cosme is an offensive tackle out of Texas. Nobody passes the ball like Texas. So he, right now at this season already, he's already around 270 pass blocking snaps. And I believe he's only around 8 pressures, 1 sack. The guy is just a lockdown pass protector. He moves extremely well. His agility is scary good. There's talks he'll break the 3-cone agility record for offensive linemen. And to be fair, he's not the best pass blocker. He's not going to push guys off the line of scrimmage and move them like a bully. But I mean, I think he's smart enough and good enough to be able to use his hips and be a good, effective run blocker in the league. But I mean, this is a passing league, and his pass blocking traits are elite. I mean, he's extremely good. His hands are special. His agility is special. His feet are special. He's a really good player.
And I know that we talked about with Penei Sewell, like his comps were guys that you think of like Orlando Pace, like Jonathan Ogden, right? Who would you say Cosme's comps would be?
I mean, right there, that next level. I mean, he's not, Bryant McKinney or nothing like that. But I mean, as a pass blocking player, I mean, he's stupid special. God, who's been really good out of these last couple of years? Ronnie Stanley. I mean, it graded extremely well coming out of Notre Dame, and has proven it in the league. He wasn't a very good run blocker, but he could pass block with the best of them. So maybe Ronnie Stanley's a really good comp for Samuel Cosmi.
All right. And then obviously another wide receiver, Devontae Smith from Alabama. He's the taller of the two. So we talked about, I think, Waddle last year. Not last year. Last time we did this. And, obviously, Smith's a little bit bigger.
A little bit, not much. Smith is, a rail, though. That's his knock right now, is he maybe weighs 180 pounds soaking wet with his football pads on, but he stands 6'1". But, as like a pure wide receiver, he's really, I think, special. He stacks players really well. He's super savvy. You wouldn't know it, but the knock on him's kind of his speed. There's a worry he's going to run like in the 4.5s. But you watch him on tape and he's not a 4.5 player. And that's what matters to me personally. So if you can get on top of a guy within the first 10 yards, it doesn't matter if you run a 4.5, because if you're smart enough to where as soon as you're side by side, you move, you get on top of him, and then he has to commit pass interference on you to get to the ball at that point. It's plain and simple. Devontae Smith is such a savvy pass route or such a savvy pass catcher. He's so fluid. He's so smooth. I love him. I think he's extremely good. He's not. It's funny. He's in the middle of the two guys. He's not Jerry Jeudy, who just came out. He's not quite that elite, route running player. He's close there, but he's not quite. And then he's also not Jalen Waddle, the speed guy. So he's like right in the middle of there. But God, he's good.
That's what I was going to ask. I said if Waddle is more like the Ruggs type, then is Smith more like the Jerry Jeudy type, more technical receiver? He
is, but just not. Like I said, Jerry Jeudy's probably the best college route runner I've ever seen, and he's stepped into the NFL and been, a top 5 route runner in the league right now. So, it's tough to kind of compare him to that. But Devontae Smith is extremely fluid. He's special. He's a very savvy wide receiver.
And for all the woes that Michigan is going through this year, I guess one bright spot has got to be defensive end. How do you say that? Is it Kwity Paye?
Yep, Kwity Paye. Athlete, freak of nature. 270 is wrong. I don't know. I guess he may be 270. God, if he's 270, that's disgusting. He's reported that he's going to run sub 4.4s. It's reported that he's going to break the 3-cone record. This guy is a freak. I don't know if you know this, that Bruce Feldman puts out a freak list every year, and it's guys who are just absolute freak athletes, guys who are just insane athletes, regardless of how good they are. They're just insane athletes. Kwity Paye is one of them. And so he's going to get picked simply because of that. He doesn't have a lot in his toolbox. He's not going to go out there and wow you with his hands or his pass rushing technical ability. But you talk about natural ability to get through the edge and bend around a player. And it's Kwity Paye in a nutshell. He's just scary good athletically, and those guys get drafted really high. Plain and simple.
When I think of a freak in size and speed and athleticism, defensive end, Jadeveon Clowney comes to mind. I guess how would you compare those two?
Jadeveon Clowney was much stronger, had a much better repertoire of pass rushing abilities, and also, was a much better run defender. Kwity Paye's not going to defend the run, even at 6'4", 270. He's just not. I'd liken him more to, and unfortunately he busted, but like a guy like Vernon Golston, a guy like who's just, crazy good athletic traits, but not a technically sound football player. So he's going to have to learn how to be a football player. And this year he's learned that, which is why he's kind of rocketed up my board. I didn't have him this high. I had Gregory Rousseau over him. I had Quentin Roche, the other Miami defensive end over him too, to be honest with you. And Caleb Basham, if I'm being honest. I don't think I had Kwity Paye in my top 4, but Kwity Paye's rose to 1 because this year he's showing he has pass rushing moves. He's showing complementing moves. He's showing the ability to do one thing to set up another, which is very important. So you can tell he's learning. And if you can put this kid, if he can learn with his athletic ability, I mean, he's going to be scary good.
And the last guy we have, obviously you mentioned him, Rousseau. When I think of this guy, obviously I was looking up highlights of him, and I think length. I mean, this guy is extremely long. It reminds me of kind of like a Chandler Jones.
Yeah, for sure. Extremely long, extremely athletic. Kind of a perfect NFL body build too. Like he's what you want out of an edge defender. Man, it's a shame he didn't play. I mean, he's 6'7", 255. It's a shame he didn't play this year. I would have really, really loved to see him play because he could have used it. Like I mentioned, a guy like Caleb Farley last week who really could have used playing this year because it would have been nice to see like if he could have made the next step like Kwity Paye has done. Because we really have less than 600 snaps to look at for Gregory Rousseau. But I mean, those snaps are good snaps. And it's tough to argue. Like I said, length and athleticism is going to get drafted in this league, plain and simple. You just don't make guys that are 6'7", 250 that move like that. God only made a certain few. They get drafted.
Yeah, I remember Chandler Jones at Syracuse at 6'5", 6'6", and just really long. Could get to the quarterback. And even this, Chandler Jones, as much as I thought he was a disappointment in New England, he goes to Arizona and all he does is get like 17, 18 sacks a season. Yeah,
I mean, it was a different system. Bill Belichick had him kind of as a 3-4 hybrid 4-3 defensive end. Kind of he'd stand him up sometimes too. In Arizona, he was just rushing the passer, and you could see, it greatly benefited his play style. Just like a quarterback, is kind of dependent on how great he's going to be by his system. I think a pass rusher is as well. And sometimes these versatile guys get stuck in a spot where they don't work. So
those are the 5 prospects for this week. We'll have 5 more prospects next week for you. It does bring us into a little bit of time we have for Greater Than. One of my favorite, segments here, and I actually have a couple of them. I went through them with my wife the other day, and she got really upset with me on some of them. So
nice. That means they're going to be good.
They're going to be good. This one's kind of a movie actor kind of one. So if you don't know both actors, then it's totally okay, but I think you will. I knew that she would. 2 short, stocky guys, Paul Giamatti, Danny DeVito.
Paul Giamatti is Sopranos, right?
No, you're thinking of excuse me. Anyways, Paul Giamatti is Billions.
I don't watch Billions. Oh, okay. I know Paul Giamatti. He's from what's that movie where they turn him blue? That's where I know him. Big Fat Liar. That's where I know him from. I mean, Danny DeVito, easy, hands down. It's not even a question. Danny DeVito. What?
Well, first of all, it is a question, and it's not hands down. I also have Danny DeVito, but because you don't really know, because you don't really know who Paul Giamatti is, I'm going to take that.
Doesn't matter. It's bro. Just because of Sonny, it's Danny DeVito.
So for me, Danny DeVito, because he's a more likable character. Giamatti's a more dramatic actor. Even though I will say I loved his role as Pig Vomit in Private Parts with Howard Stern. Obviously, he was great in The Negotiator. He was like the little rat that was kind of telling to people. He was also in, obviously Billions is the big one. Cinderella Man. He was his manager in Cinderella Man. So he's always kind of a dramatic actor, and I've never really liked truly drama actors. I kind of like more comedy, a little bit, or likability. And even Danny DeVito, the most recent thing I've seen him in was the Jumanji Next Level, and he was great in that. He's very likable.
I mean, like I said, you could take out everything Danny DeVito's ever done, just have Sonny, and he beats Paul Giamatti.
Yeah. So, William James.
It's Always Sunny is just fantastic. That's right, Will. Let's go. Will's going to the game tonight. We got to beat them Rams, baby. Let's go, Will. Let's get it.
He's got the Bucks minus 4.5. So that's it.
I don't know about the 4.5. I think Aaron Donald may cause us some pressure, Will, and that may be an issue. But I think our run game is going to be the difference. Honestly, go with the 4.5. Let's fucking go. I'd tease it down to 3.5, but let's go.
All right. What do you got for a greater than?
All right. Greater than or less than chocolate milk or strawberry milk?
Ooh. I'm a late to the game strawberry milk guy because growing up it was always chocolate milk. But I will say that I've made a complete almost strawberry flip in the sense that, toasted almond bars, right? You got the regular toasted almond, chocolate, and strawberry. My favorite's a strawberry. And I think strawberry milk better than chocolate milk. Even though chocolate milk is basically my pastime, the national pastime that you have. I think once you do strawberry milk 3-4 times, you're like, all right, I would rather have that than chocolate milk.
Strawberry milk's my go-to. I've always been a strawberry milk kid. Strawberry Quick is like, I swear to God, it's crack. But yeah, dude, I love strawberry milk. That's so funny. I'm always the weird guy who says strawberry milk. That's funny that we both like strawberry milk.
So this next one I have a baseball one for you. Throwing 100, what's more electrifying, I guess, greater than 103 mile per hour fastball, 550 foot home run.
550.
I take the 103.
103 happens. 550 doesn't.
It happens now and then.
When was the last time somebody hit 550?
Probably Stanton hit 3 or 4 of them last year.
No, not 550s. You mean 450s?
Let's say 500. Let's drop it down to 500.
Even still, I think 500 is impressive. I mean, that's a fucking bomb, dude. That's a bomb.
When I see a big home run, I don't get as excited as when I see a 103 mile per hour fastball or more. When I see Aroldis Chapman pitch, like I would rather watch Aroldis Chapman pitch than watch Giancarlo Stanton take batting practice. It's more or less fun.
No. Well, then this one, would you rather hit a home run or throw a touchdown?
Ooh, I'm going to say I've hit a home run in batting practice. I've never hit one in a game. In football, I never even came close to throwing a touchdown. Not even in practice.
Did you even touch the ball?
Well, I played, backup quarterback, and so there were a couple times I got to play quarterback on the JV team. But I was terrified. So because I love the game of baseball more than I love football, I'd probably take the home run. I
think I would too. I think the satisfaction of rounding the bases is just something that I'd treasure forever.
Would you bat flip?
Hard. Hard. Yeah.
Your teammates get plunked, but hey, too bad for them.
I would ride the bat like a pony down first base and then flip that bitch once I got to first.
All right, so this is my last one I'm going to go with here because this is the one that me and my wife got into a disagreement with, which I will go over with you. Okay. This one, because this is more for guys, which is punched in the face or kicked in the nuts.
Punched in the face. Easy.
That's why I said it's totally easy.
Not even a question. It's not.
I've had both happen.
Yeah.
And when you get punched in the face, because there's a stigma attached to it, until you get punched in the face, this seems a lot closer. But once you get punched in the face, you realize it's nothing.
It's nothing. It's nothing. I've been punched in the face, no lie, over 100 times. It's not a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Getting punched in the face repeatedly sucks. One time, I'm telling you, you rarely feel it. Like it's really not that big of a deal. Getting punched or kicked in the nuts or punched in the nuts hurts and depending on how you get hit, it can hurt for a long time.
I took a line drive there throwing batting practice in high school with no cup.
Ooh.
It took weeks to get better. So anyways, me and my wife argued about it because she said something which I totally disagree with, which is that women have a higher tolerance for pain than men. And I don't think so. I understand they give childbirth, and I'm not saying childbirth is not painful. I'm sure it's excruciating. But I've also seen women cry when they jam their finger, and I've seen guys get hit in the face with a hammer and not really flinch. So
I think it's kind of each by person. I've cried when I got a splinter, you know what I mean? So, but it's by person, by situation. I know there was, I'm going to sound like an asshole, but there was some Harvard study about the degree of pain a woman goes through and a degree of pain men goes through when getting hit in the nuts. And they actually likened the two pains and found they were very similar. We all try to compare each other's, downs. Let's just they both suck. I don't want to give birth. Let's put it that way. I promise you, ladies, I promise you don't want to get kicked in the balls. So, let's just both agree they both suck,
Laura Shockley says 100 times in the face, no way.
It's around there, Laura. I know. That's my poor aunt. She's like, oh no, what was he doing? You'd be surprised. Half of we used to box and stuff too, so I'm counting a lot of those.
All right, you get hit in the face a ton when you box.
Yeah.
On to the football. We're at 35 minutes, so we should have plenty of time to just kind of wrap this up. We've got the Cardinals and the Seahawks, which was the Thursday night game. 28-21, Russell Wilson versus Russell Wilson 2.0, and Russell Wilson 1.0 came out the victor here in this one. Looking over the stats, 197 yards. He basically was a game manager. Kyler Murray had over 100 yards. 270. But they both had 2 touchdowns, no picks. I'm guessing just the biggest defense, or the defense was the biggest thing here, which is surprising with Seattle because their defense sucks.
Yeah, it really came down to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, kind of outshone at spots where they needed to shine, I think. Russell Wilson got the job done and was able to go into, or stay at home and win the game at home like he's supposed to in his division. You got to beat a team like Arizona. You just kind of have to. And, it is what it is. I expected Seattle to win this game. So, I think Arizona will take the other one because I believe they play again in week 15, I believe it is. So.
And I noticed that, Isaiah Simmons in this game, I don't have the highlight for it, but Isaiah Simmons had 9 tackles and his first career NFL sack.
Yes, he did. He made a good little stunt along the outside and had a good sack. Good for him. He's playing well. It took him some time to transition, into the NFL to where he's not the best athlete on the field, to where there are a lot of other guys who are just as athletic as him. But he's transitioned really well, and he's using his speed and length and ability and space a lot better, I think.
The Steelers continue to win. They're 10-0 now. They beat Jacksonville 27-3, who drops to 1-9. I was thinking about this game, not so much for whether or not the Steelers can go undefeated, because I still think they're going to lose a game at some point. But looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and thinking, right now they are solid in second place for the number 2 overall pick, is what I'm saying. So they're going to get the number 2 overall pick unless they start to win a few games. And I'm wondering, do you take your time bringing Minshew back and let Kyle Luton lose a few more games?
Yes.
Okay, because they said Minshew's ready to go next week. He's ready to go.
I don't think it'll matter. I think this team's bad enough that they're going to lose a lot of the rest of their games either way. But yeah, you don't want to give the pick up to Washington, or Washington's won games now, though. Is there another team with even 2 losses now?
I don't know with 2. There's a bunch of them with 3, I guess.
Yeah, I think they can afford to lose a game now. But yeah, I'd try to keep that number 2 pick because Justin Fields is a prize. He's a prize. You want to get him.
Right, and that's a team obviously that desperately needs a quarterback.
Desperately.
And the next game we have the Panthers, who improved to 4-7. The Lions dropped to 4-6. They win 20-0. They shut out the Lions. And exciting about this one is P.J. Walker's NFL debut gets the win. Yeah,
he's a really good story. He gets waived by the Colts and all these teams, and comes back and is almost essentially the XFL MVP, and then comes back and gets his win in his first start. It's just really cool. He beats out other guys to win that quarterback job. That's a really cool win for him.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his. Looking at this game, DJ Moore has 7 receptions, 127 yards. Chris Samuel has 8 for 70. These are the weapons that we talked about that, Teddy Bridgewater has, that for some reason you just can't put the ball in the end zone. And I know when I talked with our former co-host Jesse, he does not like Chris Samuel, and he does not like DJ Moore. He doesn't think they're that good.
Well, he's wrong. It's Curtis Samuel, but but yeah, they're both really good, and then Robbie Anderson too. They got a really good wide receiving core, so it's just a matter of putting it all together and having these players succeed.
Now, on the Lions side of things, Jeff Okudah I was looking at his stats on the year because we're looking at some of these rookies more than halfway through. How are they doing? He's only got 2 passes defended of the entire year, 1 interception. I mean, he's a rookie. You'd think that quarterbacks will go after him, or are they trying to avoid him? I don't know.
No, they're catching all those balls on him. No, I'm dead serious. He's having a really bad season.
Yep.
Yeah. Jeff Okudah is not transitioning well to the league. To be fair, he's putting a tough task. Like, he's got to defend Devontae Adams when they play. And, and these guys are just putting him through the spin cycle and just, he's a rookie. He just can't hang with a lot of these guys.
The graphic I have here is Matthew Stafford. So Matthew Stafford, this season he's averaging 240 yards per game, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Looking at his contract next year, he's got $35 million due, $25 million cap hit. And then it's 2022 is when you can really move on from him. $28 million, but only a $10 million cap, or $10 million dead money. And I was reading, could they move on from him after this season? Detroit is they're 4-6. They're not really in that top tier quarterback market, but it just seems like they're not going anywhere with him.
Depending on how they view these quarterbacks, if they think Trey Lance and Zach Wilson are top 10 quarterbacks, then they are in the quarterback market. I think I'd get rid of him at this point. And I love Matthew Stafford, but he's not helping his team win at this point. He's not. I don't think the coach is helping him at all either, but he's not helping his team win, and they don't look good. They don't.
Does he still have tread on the tires, or is he going to be a guy who only gets like a 1-year deal each year now?
I think it's just a 1-year deal from now on. I don't think I'd plan my franchise to play him 3 years or things like that.
Because we were talking, and we'll get into it with another game down the road, but obviously the Cincinnati Bengals may be in the market for a quarterback next season and somebody to fill that kind of gap. But also, you don't want to do too good because you want to put a couple of good offensive linemen on there. So.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about earlier, Penei Sewell should be on the top of Cincinnati's wish list right now. That's for sure.
The Houston Texans surprised the Patriots. And really surprised the Patriots because Johnson's out, the running back. David Johnson's out. The left tackle's out, right? I thought, the Patriots are going to have a field day with these guys. And they did not. They actually played horrible. And Deshaun Watson had 344 yards passing. They couldn't do anything. And just like every time I watch the Patriots play against a guy who can scramble, they can't do anything about it because they play such good man-to-man defense. They've only got basically a spy on the quarterback, and there's nobody that's fast enough to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson had a great game. He just wanted that win. I hope you have the play where he trucks Devin McCourty because that was impressive, and he just straight powers him through into the end zone. But, yeah, they just wanted it more, and, they got the W, and good for them. New England was rolling, and so I think most people thought New England would win this game. You don't even have it.
I don't have it.
Typical New England fan. And how do you not have that play?
I only have so much time to put on there.
Dude, that should have been the first play. It was so dope. He fucking trucks Devin McCourty. So,
I love watching Deshaun Watson throw the football. I hate watching Cam Newton throw the football. And I feel like Cam Newton, we talk about Tim Tebow had that big wind-up when he'd throw the ball. Cam Newton takes forever to get the ball out of his hand.
He does, especially later on in his career. But, yeah, he takes a long time. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, did you get that thing I tagged you in today earlier?
I'm not sure.
So ESPN and PFF did a release of the top franchise quarterbacks they would take for the next 10 years. And that includes players who are already in the league and everything like that. Trevor Lawrence is number 2. Deshaun Watson's number 3.
Yeah, I think I did see that. And I don't know how many – who was number 1 again?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think I'd still take Kyler Murray over Lawrence.
Yeah.
I like his game.
No, I hear you and I understand. I just thought it was. That's a pretty impressive tout, right? That puts the level of talent Trevor Lawrence has on perspective. I think it should for people.
The Tennessee Titans win 30-24 against the Ravens. More woes for Lamar Jackson, who 186 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. 51 yards rushing on 13 carries, and I mentioned it to Charlie Ward. I don't like the 13, 14, 15-yard or carries or attempts for the quarterback. J.K. Dobbins has a pretty solid game, but obviously Derrick Henry was doing Derrick Henry things and just destroying people. So.
Yeah, he's a beast. This Tennessee team is much better than I thought they were going to be. And this Baltimore team's kind of expected who I expected them to be. They don't have an identity on offense when, you figure out that you can't pass on them. I mean, or that they can't pass on you. So you essentially just have to stop their run game, which teams have been doing, which should be pretty easy this week. They just lost Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins to COVID. So now I think Gus Edwards, their only active back, and they're going to be in trouble. They may lose back-to-back games here because they play the Steelers this week. They may go to 6-5, and they may not even not make the playoffs. So yeah.
And it troubles me, like I said, just seeing Lamar Jackson with the 180 yards, sub 200 yard games. When last year I felt like he was lighting up teams from the air, 33 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And I don't know if it's just a change in scheme or if he's just bailing out and running too soon.
Well, no,
but it looks like
figured it out.
I don't know, though. I mean, I feel like he didn't carry the ball as much last year. I mean, I know he ran for 1,300 yards last year, but I felt like he wasn't scheming to carry the ball more than the running backs last year.
I mean, it was these play actions that he was just hitting people deep on, and these play actions aren't working because nobody's afraid. For one, nobody's afraid of their run game because they're keying on it and they're stopping it, and then nobody's afraid that he's going to beat them in the passing game. So the stuff they're scheming just isn't working.
The Browns are 7-3 for the first time in who knows how long. I feel like every time you watch any part of a Browns game, the announcers tell you how long it's been since they were 6-3, 7-3. Yes, we get it. They've been a horrible franchise. And, nobody has forgotten that. But I am excited for them. And the Eagles, I think, continue to sit atop the NFC East at 3-6-1 because everybody else is 3-7. And Carson Wentz, another game where he just doesn't look good. He's got 2 interceptions. But again, look at the stats. He's sacked 5 times in this game. He's now been sacked 55 times this season.
Yeah, but he also has 14 turnovers in 10 games. I mean, at a certain point, you've kind of got to elevate your team and not bring them down is the thing. Regardless of how bad your team is, if you're that good, you have to elevate them at some point and not be another detriment and bring them down. And I feel like he's bringing them down at this point. I don't know how Jalen Hurts isn't getting into these ball games and at least get him a shot at this point. I mean, give the kid a shot.
Well, because they're still in the game. So, I mean, you put him in there in a blowout, but you're not going to put the rookie in there unless you're Miami. You're not going to put the rookie in or pull the quarterback when it's a close game, So we'll get into that. But,
why are you not starting Jalen Hurts this week? And I get because they're still in first and things like that, but, that's just fluky. That's so fluky.
Well, and I said to somebody, they're like, hey, we want to see what Jalen Hurts actually is. And I'll say that with this team, he's the guy who's going to get sacked 5 times a game.
Yeah, but is he? He's way more mobile. Scheming
way
to get
more
outside.
Mobile? I mean,
way more mobile. Way more mobile. Jalen Hurts ran a 4.5 at the fucking combine.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what Carson Wentz ran, but he's very mobile.
He's essentially a running back. He was his whole shtick is that all he does is run and not pass. I mean, at this point, at least you can scheme him to get outside and do things like that and use his legs and get out of the pocket since you can't keep a pocket and protect anybody.
Well, and actually, I'll bring up, too, that Jesse and I had this conversation on Twitter because, Jesse is doing victory laps about Carson Wentz not playing well. And I had said to him, he's like, do you not blame this guy for anything? And I said, just having played quarterback, I understand when you don't have protection, what happens is you rush plays that you normally wouldn't rush. And then when you do have time to throw, it's still ingrained in your brain that you're going to get hit in any second, and you start rushing plays you don't have to. And I understand that's where the mistakes come from. And I know it's still on him. He's the quarterback. He's the one throwing the ball. It's still on him. But I still put a lot of the onus on how bad that team is.
Well, yeah, I agree. But again, after a certain point, you got to elevate the players around you, I think.
The Saints improved to 8-2 with a 24-9 win over the Falcons, which was something that was pretty much a foregone conclusion before it even happened. However, exciting news, right? We got the quarterback battle. The top 10 quarterback in the NFL gets to be a backup to Taysom Hill. And, basically, I thought for sure Jameis Winston was going to be the starter here, but it is not. It is Taysom Hill. And by all accounts, he doesn't throw a touchdown. He runs for a couple, which is what he does. But, he played okay. I don't think he played that bad.
No, he played extremely well. He wasn't like a game manager. He was making throws. He looked effective, like he's pushing the ball down the field. Obviously, it helps to have a guy like Michael Thomas, who's able to find these pockets, and he looked for Michael Thomas a lot. I think he had 9 or 10 catches. So, and he's using his legs well. When he wants to get out, he gets out. When he wants to stay in the pocket, he stays in the pocket. So, I think they did an excellent job, kind of using him, and, let's see where they go going forward.
What did happen with Alvin Kamara, though, is that Kamara didn't have any receptions. So I know in this offense, he's usually 5, 6, 4 receptions a game. He had 0 receptions in this game.
Yeah, that is odd. I didn't catch, kind of the game flow, so I don't see why. But, man, that's wild.
He did have, I think, a rushing touchdown, 13 carries for 43 yards, something like that. But I wonder if it's just the way that Taysom Hill reads the plays. He's not doing that check down a lot. He's kind of looking down the field first. Huh?
Yeah.
The Washington football team wins another one. Again, we're talking about them getting away from the number 2 pick now as they win 20-9 against the Bengals. And what a horrible, horrible break for Joe Burrow, who tears the ACL, MCL. You said there's additional damage on top of that, right?
Yeah, there's additional structural damage we're not sure about. The worst part is they can't even get in there for like another week to do surgery because the swelling and the shit in there is so bad that they can't even get in there. And then they have to fix the MCL first before you can fix the ACL. They got to do that surgery first and try to fix whatever other structural damage before they can touch the ACL. So, I think 2021's even out of the picture. I don't think he plays at all next year.
Well, and that's what I was thinking when you were telling me about the extra damage and whatnot, is I said he probably could be ready for, let's say, the last 6 games of the year. But at that point, why would you? Let him sit out the whole year.
I may play him like the last 2, just kind of see what you got. Maybe even play him like a half one game and a half another game. Just see what you got, get his legs ready, get him a little confidence and moving going into the start of next year. But, yeah, don't risk anything. We've seen what he can do. He's obviously a fantastic player. And so, you just hope and pray you get the same guy back. Congratulations for Alex Smith getting his first win, since his horrific injury. And then, FedEx Field claims another victim. So,
yeah, they got to change it to the Avengers Field, sell it to Disney. It'll be fine.
Exactly. Hopefully wipe that curse.
The Chargers get a win, 34-28 against the Jets. 28 points for the Jets. They really tried. They really
tried this week, man. They tried.
They just couldn't get it done. Again, the Chargers just look so much better in terms of who their quarterback is. And I know that you mentioned you weren't high on him going into the draft, but the guy stands in there. He makes every single one of the throws. He's really not a whole lot bad you can say about Justin Herbert this game.
Yeah, Justin Herbert played a great game. Justin Herbert played a fantastic game. I hope you have this clip. He rolls left. Does it? Oh, no, this isn't it.
It's coming up, too.
Oh, you do actually have this one? Fantastic. He makes a crossbody touchdown throw in between 2 defenders that, there are not a lot of people in this league that can make this throw. Look at this. Coming crossbody, squares his shoulders, laser in between 2 defenders. Fucking laser beam in between 2 defenders. That's an impressive throw. That one goes on your fucking highlight reel for your life. That's a special throw. And the kid looks like he understood. Like I said, I thought his mental ability wouldn't be enough in this league. He's put that to bed. He looks like he's going to be a successful player, and I take it all back, Justin Herbert. I owe you one, man.
Other than his dopey haircut, which makes him look 11 years old.
That's that boys regular, please. That's the one that's up on the wall. It's like, can I get the picture of number 3, please?
The kind of really young-looking, was it Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Another rookie quarterback bites the dust, kind of, against the Denver Broncos, who beat the Dolphins 20-13. Dolphins dropped to 6-4. They're still in contention to win that division, but just really puzzling for me is that, and I have highlights from the game, is that he throws a touchdown here in the first half. Nothing pretty, but he's got a touchdown. He looks pretty good. He's completing passes. Then in the second half, Tua comes in. He, overthrows a couple of guys, and then the next thing you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick is in there because, and again, there's mixed reports on this because I read somewhere that he rolled his ankle at some point towards the end of the game, and the coach was keeping him out just to kind of let him not hurt himself. And yet Flores came out after the game and said he wasn't hurt. And this was what we needed to do. We had a 2-minute drill. We felt like Fitzpatrick would run the 2-minute drill better than Tua.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I know he's already come out and said Tua is my starter for next game. He's my starter going forward, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, this just doesn't show confidence in your rookie quarterback that you're trying to give the keys to the franchise to. And it shows indecisiveness from your head coach. And I just think these are things that don't bode well for a locker room. And it's a shame because I thought Brian Flores was crushing it. I honestly thought he might have been coach of the year. The Dolphins were playing extremely well. And then, this is just a head scratcher. I know he was being sacked a lot and he was getting hit and things like that. But I mean, your quarterback's going to go through hard games. Imagine if Tua comes back and leads that team on a touchdown drive and wins that game. How great is that for his career, his life, his career trajectory? For the locker room, if he comes, you just took that moment away from the young man. I don't know. I think it's a terrible decision.
Deb Sullivan says Denver all the way.
Yeah, we got a lot of that's my mother. We got a lot of family in Denver, and so they're all big Broncos fans. And so we're actually kind of, if I had to root for another team that wasn't Tampa, it'd be Denver. So,
and I agree with you. I don't understand this, and I've had multiple debates on multiple different sites because I did share the meme from our Infinity Sports page about how the Dolphins are morons for this move. My contention was this. I said, listen, I disagreed with putting Tua as the starter in the first place because Fitzpatrick was winning. You were in contention to win the division. Just let him finish it out. So I had a problem. But once you make that move, once you say, hey, Tua's our guy, he's starting, it doesn't matter how bad he plays. You just let him ride it out. That's taking the lumps.
Exactly. It's like once that train's moving, you don't derail it. You don't knock it off the tracks. You let that thing go, baby. And I agree completely. Regardless of if he's hurt, that's one thing. If he's hurt, I get it. Pull him out, keep him safe. And, sometimes they do have undisclosed injuries that they don't want to tell and they don't have to tell. I mean, technically they have to, but, they've found these loopholes and things like that. And, maybe, but I don't agree with it. I think it's a bad, again, I think it's stealing this potential game-winning drive away from this kid.
The Cowboys win to keep in the chase at 3-7 in the NFC East. They beat the Vikings 31-28. Andy Dalton has a pretty good game: 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. My guy Ezekiel Elliott, who I traded Aaron Jones for, had a better game than Aaron Jones, so I'm loving that. Hopefully, he can keep doing that the rest of the season. And CeeDee Lamb 4 for 34 and a touchdown. He's having a great year. And obviously Cook doing what Cook does, 115 yards rushing, 45 receiving, and Justin Jefferson has another 86 yards and a touchdown. So a couple of really good rookie wide receivers in this matchup. And I wanted to get your take on the rookie wide receivers, who I have a little bit of a chart here. 2020 rookie wide receivers, targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns. It looks like your top 4 here are going to be Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and T. Higgins.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson's, I think, the clear, kind of winner of this series right now. He's on potential to be Rookie of the Year. CeeDee Lamb is playing extremely well. If you could only imagine how great I think his season would have been if Dak would have stayed there and Dak would have stayed healthy, then I think CeeDee Lamb would have been up there. But T. Higgins is having a tremendous year. We'll see if that withstands now with no Joe Burrow, because that's obviously going to be a huge downgrade at quarterback at that point. But yeah, we talked about talked about how impressive this class was going into the year, and how impressive these guys were and how many elite receivers there were in this draft class. And they're showing it. They look incredibly good. CeeDee Lamb's touchdown catch, I'm surprised you don't have a highlight of it, was stupid special good. The guy's completely facing this way, turns and dives back this way midair to catch it. It was so gorgeous. And then literally 5 minutes later, Adam Thielen one-hand touches a touchdown in the back corner of the end zone. It was a great game. It really was a fun game to watch.
The team that you had picked preseason here, the Colts, 7-3. They beat the Packers, which nobody saw that coming, 34-31. Because you talked about the Colts are going to win these 19-17 games, or 21. This is a shootout, and they actually end up come up on top.
I also said that when they play these teams, they're going to have to have the perfect game, and this is the perfect example. I literally mentioned this last week. This is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Everything's going to have to go right for them to win these type of games, but when it does, this shows that they can win those type of games. They can win these games that they need to win. The defense is good enough. Phillip Rivers is good enough that if the defense does allow 31 points, he can come down and score points if he needs to. I'm telling you, teams need to be afraid of the Colts, man. They're a good football team.
And then the last game I have is the Sunday night game. That was the Chiefs improved to 9-1. They beat the Raiders 35-31. Again, Patrick Mahomes doing his thing, 350 yards passing pretty much, 2 touchdowns and interception. Derek Carr looked pretty good, 3 touchdowns and an interception, 270
the real top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Well, here's the thing with David Carr, and so that's what I was going to say. So David Carr, I read a report that they said that twice at the end of this game, he led the team down, scored a touchdown to give him a lead, and twice his defense gave up a touchdown. Although I don't like to say his defense gave up a touchdown because they were playing as Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes was just lethal. It's his first 2-minute comeback drive ever, which is surprising, but not also because the Chiefs are usually winning. But yeah, I mean, he was just lethal. They're just good, plain and simple. That team's just good at football. They're really hard to stop. The Raiders kind of have a system, though. It looks like the Raiders have given them their 2 hardest games for sure. The Raiders could have easily won this game, and then they'd have been their Chiefs' 2 losses. They're the Chiefs' only loss so far this season. So I think the Raiders should feel good about themselves. Derek Carr is not afraid of Patrick Mahomes, and he shouldn't be. The Raiders, I think, should take away this, as a win, though, even though I know it's not, but as a moral victory, I think.
If you were watching, again, if you're listening on the radio, you're missing it because I did have a nice Patrick Mahomes sidearm throw and then an underhand scoop throw where he threw it to somebody. I mean, the arm angles that he uses are just insane, the way he throws the ball.
It's just he's literally built out of a video game. It's so much fun to watch him play football, man.
So that's the last game that I have. Obviously, the game tonight is the Bucs and the Rams. They've mentioned it earlier. William James mentioned it. 4.5 points. You said you go ahead with that. And
I think so.
I don't see any reason that the Bucs shouldn't win this game. Is it in LA or is it in Tampa?
No, it's in Tampa.
Oh, yes. I think they should win pretty easily in this one.
Yeah. The only issue, somebody brought it up, Tom Brady in night games don't go well usually. It's because he's got this strict 9 p.m. bedtime, strict 9 p.m. he's in bed. So then on night game times, he's playing in the middle of bedtime. So it's I think that fucks him up.
Well, I'll tell you, because I'm an old man, and I do have a strict bedtime as well normally. But when I would play basketball, I haven't played men's league in a while since this whole COVID thing started. But when I would play basketball, we would have some games that would be at 9 o'clock at night. They play till 10 o'clock. I have to drive an hour home from where I play. So it's an 11 o'clock. I get home. And then, of course, your adrenaline's pumping, so you got to wind down a little bit, And so I understand what he's saying. But when you're playing, I don't think you feel it. I never felt it.
I wouldn't think so either. I'm just more using it as an excuse. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I've taken it from you every week. Do you want to throw it to Kenny this week?
Yeah. I want to say I think I lost it though. Hey, yo, Kenny, where's that shit at?